Yeah. Mic check, testing 1, 2. What's going on, family? Welcome to another edition of the No Negative Behavior Show. I got my guest in the building. What's your name, girl?
Whitney D. Smith.
Whitney D. Smith is in the building.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, she's a B.I.G. She's a very, 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 very influential person, in the city of Mount Vernon. You know what I'm saying? Whitney D. Smith is in the building. I got to drop
worldwide,
a bomb.
Worldwide.
Worldwide, for sure. Got it?
Yeah,
okay, for sure. Whitney was one of the first people that allowed me to be on their show. Whitney and Dwayne have their own show. Shout out to Dwayne in the building. Shout out to Dwayne. What's up, Dwayne? Y'all have the prayer line going every morning. You want to plug that? You should plug that real quick.
Yes,
because the prayer line
of course.
Is
thank you. Yes, we have
sure.
A prayer line that we've had for 6 years now. It's called Monday Morning Glory.
That's dope.
On the phone praying with everyone at 7 a.m. in the morning to 7:15. Please join us. You can find the information on my Facebook page, on my Instagram page.
What's your Facebook page, girl?
My Facebook page is Whitney Smith. Instagram, I am Whitney D. Smith. So check it out. The number's on there. We post a flyer weekly. So be a part of our prayer call. Anyone could join. It's a prayer call that you have never experienced. It's very interactive.
Right.
And we're teaching each other, encouraging each other. So it's dope. We have about 40 consistent people on our call. Yeah, every morning.
That's good.
Yes. Start your
morning off with prayer.
With prayer.
That's dope.
Absolutely.
And there's a saying that if you're going to pray, don't worry. And if you're going to worry, don't pray. For sure. That's dope. Start your morning off with morning prayer with Whitney Smith. That's
with Whitney and Dwayne.
Yeah. That's dope.
Partner in crime.
Yeah. You know what?
Visionary in crime. No,
sure.
I don't want to say crime. Should I say something else?
You could say crime.
Yeah, let's say crime. Visionary in crime.
Well, we don't mean crime.
Well, y'all know what I mean.
The show is no negative behavior.
Right.
So, of course, we don't mean...
And we're celebrating life.
And we celebrate life. So, we don't mean breaking the law of crime. We just using it as a cliche. Partners in crime, for sure. How you doing, Whitney? I'm
doing great. The allergies is killing me. Allergy season's killing me. But other than that, I'm happy to be here on your show. I'm a guest. I don't have to. I just can talk and have conversation. I don't have to come up with any questions. Right. So
people don't know the show is hard work.
It's hard work. You have to.
And your show is on what day?
Thursdays. Yes, it's called Meeting the Authentic You. Conversations with Whitney and Dwayne.
That's dope.
We're on Thursdays right here on inthemixradio.com from 8:30 to 9:30. And we actually surpassed our year. We started March 2018.
Really?
So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's been a year and 2 months.
Wow, that's dope. Round of applause for that. That's official tissue.
Official tissue.
Because people don't realize that, when any network that you're on, when you're doing the show, you have to have content. And these shows come every week. So, or else you'll be stuck with your audience, just you and your audience. You want to have a guest every now,
every now and then.
Yeah, but it's work. It's work. You have to put in work. You have to do your research.
You do.
You have to get your facts together. You don't want to be up here advocating fraud, right?
No, you don't want to be a fraud.
Right, so you got to put the work in.
People can see right in between you. They can open you up and see that.
For sure.
So you want to be as honest and real as you can, and you should be as authentic as you can.
Authentic you.
All right?
That was the name of your... we was last weekend. Was that last weekend?
When? For what?
We was at that conference together.
Yes. It was the 27th of April.
I Am She
conference. Shout out to Zelex.
Shout out to Zelex.
Zelex. That conference was dope. It was. And the theme for that conference was I Am Peace.
I Am Peace.
Queens, inspiring queens. I Am Peace. So shout out to Zelex for having me on, the bill.
Right. I was there as a vendor.
That. And yes, and Dice was there as a vendor.
I was there as a vendor. I think I got robbed at that event.
Why you say that?
I mean, because it really wasn't enough time to sell. But, though I paid $100 for the table.
Dad, you gonna tell how much you paid for the table?
I paid $100 for
well,
that.
She don't want anybody to know. You gotta keep that secretive.
I paid $100 for that table to sell my merch. But I'm gonna tell you that the money that I paid was an even exchange for the information that I received while I was in that conference. Because I was one of 2 men that was in that conference. Only 2 of us was there. It was all women.
2 to 3.
It was 3. It was a third one. Wait, what was the third?
Because we had the camera. There was a cameraman, the videographer. Yeah, the photographer and the.
There was 3. There was 3 guys,
including you.
Yeah, there was 3 guys, including myself. And it was all women, and it was women empowerment.
Yes, it was a women empowerment conference.
And the information was awesome. Fellas, I got to drop a bomb on that. I'm going to tell you that. If you ever have the opportunity to go to a conference, a women's conference, a women's empowerment conference, and you might not ever have you might never have, the opportunity to do this.
They popping up everywhere, so you do have the opportunity.
Man, the information was dope.
Yes.
I was really, I was taken back by all the information that I received, and I was very quiet, but I was listening, I was observing, I was paying attention to what goes on in it, and the women give it up. They give it up. They're vulnerable. They're truthful. They let it all out, and I think more men should do that too.
You know what? It would be dope if I know they have in churches, they do have, men's weekend and men conferences and things of that nature. I would like to see it more, outside of the 4 walls of the church, that men come together and they have these men empowerment conferences. Men empowerment conference. That's an idea. That is, I trust me, I would definitely put it on if I could, but, Right. But at the same time, I think it's dope because then the men will have a chance to be vulnerable, with each other and with themselves. And give it up, being authentic. Pouring out. Yeah, pouring out. There is something that you receive when you do that. Though you're pouring all this information out, you're getting it all out, there's something that you receive. You receive a fulfilling peace. And it's like these burdens they lift it off your shoulders. Yeah. They say once you can't heal it until you reveal it. You can't heal until you reveal. There you go. And you have to confront the hurt, and don't wait for the hurt to confront you. There it is. Right. So at the same time, why do you think why do you think that we don't have these men empowerment conferences? Because if you think about it, if you look around, there are women empowerment conferences popping up like all over the place. Every week, it seems like. I'm like, dang. Right. Every single week, every single month, you see these women empowerment conferences or brunches or something definitely geared towards women. Right. Why do you think that it's not happening for men? What do you think that's about? I think men are scared. They're fearful. Does it make it seem like they are weak if they attend these empowerment conferences? I don't think men would go to these conferences with the idea of revealing, or being vulnerable. You got to let your guard down. You have to trust the room. You got to. Oh, I like that. You got to trust the room. You got to trust the room. You got to trust the room. If you're in a room full of men, I'll give you credit though. Yeah, you have to trust the room. You have to definitely trust the room and know that your story is impactful and it's going to help somebody. It's like your story. Your story was dope. I was sitting there like, oh wow, ooh. I was like quietly watching and listening and paying attention. Not to all the speakers that spoke at that conference. They was all dope. Yeah, I agree. Shout out to Maisha who was there at the conference. She did a workshop on self-care. Cupcakes. She donated cupcakes. And shout out to the other speaker. Zalex definitely did her thing. And I think her name was Kamisha. Okay. I don't want to get it wrong. But she spoke about domestic violence. And she's going to be on the show in the near future. Look, you can see. So the thing is, you went to a women's empowerment conference, we know that you paid the $100 for the vendors fee. Yeah, you made it known.
$100 for the table.
For the table.
That's right.
However, when you have a business, right, you have to make yourself, you're branding yourself, so you got to be where everybody is. Whether it's 5, 10, 20 people, it doesn't matter. As long as you want to get your name out there, your brand out there, but also you never know who you're going to meet.
Right.
You never know the experience that you're going to have. So sometimes the money, it balances out because of the experience and who you network with. Now this young lady's going to be on your show.
Yeah.
We did talk about me being on the show, but
for sure.
I think
for some time
I think the conference made you say, okay, you're going to be on the show
right
in the next couple of weeks or whatever the case is. But and then you got an opportunity to be inside a world that you haven't experienced, that you haven't seen, and you see what happens at these the women empowerment conferences. And just a plug, November 16th, 2019, this year, my Go Get It Women's Empowerment Conference is coming up. This is our 4th annual conference. Yeah, drop the bomb. It was sold out last year. We keep growing and growing and growing, and this year is going to be held at the Watson Hotel in New York City. So come out. We have some powerful speakers. I think this is going to probably be my best one out of the 4. So I want you to come out. If you're interested in being a vendor, please feel free to contact me. My speaker slots are definitely we're booked for speakers, and it's dope. I'm just excited. November 16th at the Watson Hotel. Go get it. The 4th annual. The theme is breakthrough.
So you got vendors?
I have vendors, yes, and we have spots. Last year we only had about 15 vendor spots because of my space,
right?
But now this space is larger,
it's
so
larger.
We're gonna have about 25 vendors, and vendors will hit me up last minute. I was like, dang, I can't really take you. I don't have any more space.
How much are your tables?
I'm not gonna tell you on air, so you can blast me now. But we're a sold out event, and it's gonna be hot. Trust me, the vendors are going to be inside the conference. You won't be outside the conference, so you're going to be able to experience the conference too.
Okay.
And also all the festivities you're going to take part in. So my vendor's fee is going to be well worth it. It's not going to break your pockets because you're going to make money for being in here selling it, selling your stuff. Vendors forget about that.
That's dope. You got to sell your stuff.
Yeah, but you're paying the fee, but you're going to make.
Right,
hopefully, you're gonna make your money back, but make more.
I mean, can I be honest with you? I'm going to
listen, vendors. He's talking about his own experience.
I'm just talking about.
You can be honest.
Shout out to Zelex. Her name is Zelex. Zelex.
Yes, we keep bigging you up a lot, Zelex, on this show.
Shout out to Zelex. However, I'm going to say this, and it's no disrespect to Zelex.
Well, you need to whisper in my ear what you want to say first before you say it.
It's no disrespect to Zelex, but I mean,
what?
If
don't say no.
Okay.
Let's go. Next.
All right, next.
Right.
Next.
So I just
shout out to Zelex. You got away with that one. You got away with that one.
Yeah.
You're gonna let that ride.
Gonna let that ride.
Yeah, gonna let that ride. Are we streaming live on Facebook right now? We should be. Hey, could you see me live on Facebook? Because I don't see it. For some reason, I don't see it.
Oh, I'll share it on my page once you have it. I don't see
it on Facebook.
But I also, so before we get in whatever we're going to get into this evening, right? I just also want to say that Don't Drop Out on You, my second book with Dwayne, is out and available wherever books are sold. Don't Drop Out on You. So please support us. And also, I have a cruise next year. Conversations with Whitney and Dwayne. We have a cruise. We're going to Bahamas, leaving from New York. It's going to be workshops, but we're also going to have fun. All white party, 80s party. It's only $75 for the first deposit, June 7th. I think I have it right. But after that, $75 every 15th of the month. If you're nervous to fly, this is the cruise for you. But you're not just going to have fun. You're also going to transform, and that's the whole purpose. So we got a lot going on.
That's dope.
So
you're going to have a conference.
Yes, a conference. We're going to have workshops. We're not going to beat you down with, conferences. I mean, workshops. We have 2 workshops.
So you're going to have some fun. And
you're going to have fun, too. All white extravaganza, the 80s party. And then it's going to be dope. 80s party. And then we're going to have it, different excursions when we're in Bermuda, actually on land. So it's going to be dope.
Are you going to go over the Bermuda Triangle? When you're on a cruise, they usually, because I went on a cruise.
Do they go?
And I went to Bermuda on a cruise. And they do say we're now passing the Bermuda Triangle.
Oh.
That's what they say. Now passing The Bermuda Triangle. That's how it sounds when they say it. That's how it sounds.
Maybe. Well,
hey, Erica,
get on the cruise.
I don't see us here on Facebook. For some reason, I'm on Facebook right now, and I don't see us streaming live. You see us?
So then it must be Facebook because we've been having issues.
Yeah. We're having issues with Facebook.
Okay, well, we can upload it.
We're going to upload it. It's going to be all good. It's all good. So I can't really see any questions right now if anybody's asking any questions, but Facebook is acting up. Facebook is acting up. We don't like it. We don't like when Facebook acts up. No, we don't like it. But anyway, I got my guest, Whitney Smith, is in the building.
Yes, I'm in the building.
Whitney Smith.
I'm so happy to be on the other side.
For sure. She's super dope. I mean,
thank
you. She gave her presentation, and I mean, she captivated the whole room.
Thank
with
you.
Her presentation.
Making me blush.
I mean, you did what you did. You put the work in. You prepared for this, and you pretty much had the whole room stuck, just listening to you. You captivated. Let's just see the ending of it. You got the clip, Erica. Play the clip. Here's Whitney in action.
It's working just for me. I'm going to heal.
I'm going to heal.
Just for me.
Just for me.
No more pain.
No more pain.
Just for me.
Just for me.
It's shifting.
It's shifting.
Just for me.
Just for me.
God's doing it.
God's doing it.
Just for me.
Just for me.
I'm going to be patient.
I'm going to be patient.
Just for me.
Just for me.
God loves me.
God loves me.
God loves me.
God loves me.
I love me.
I love me.
I am she.
I am she.
I am she.
I am she.
Thank you, everyone.
That was
the ending.
That was dope. And she threw in I am she, because that was the name of the conference. I am she. And it was like a game of Simon Says. She had everybody, repeating after her. That was crazy. That was good.
You gotta speak things into the atmosphere, and you gotta believe it. You speak it, and you gotta believe what what you're saying.
Right. I was in there repeating.
Did you repeat it?
Yeah, I was like, I am she. I am she. I mean, I was caught up in it. I was caught up. I was definitely caught up in it. It was official. Whitney actually, talked about a lot of things. Where's my book here?
He got his notes.
I got some notes here, right? And like Whitney and I, whether you know or not, we have a lot in common.
We do.
We have a lot in common.
We do.
And when I say we have a lot in common, because, Whitney, she grew up. You grew up with both parents.
I grew up with both parents, and they're still together.
They're still together. My
God
parents would
them.
still be together when my father passed away. But I also grew up with both parents. You grew up in a house.
I grew up in a house. Yes,
right?
I did.
You grew up in a house, and your family was supportive.
Very supportive. They're very supportive.
Like Mom's was very supportive of me as well. And I'm assuming that, for the most part, you always had peanut butter and jelly, milk and cereal.
And ketchup. I had to put water in ketchup at times, you know what I mean?
Now
but
and then,
I
you got
never
to put a
now
little water
and
in ketchup.
So yes.
Right.
I never went hungry.
Never went hungry.
No.
Had your own room. I'm supposed
Had my own room.
Right. Had your own room. Had a TV in your room.
Had a TV in... I had a TV in my room. I forgot just actually when I had my TV room. At one point, like in the elementary school, I don't think I had a TV in my room. I think they did that by choice.
All right.
They definitely did that by choice. But then as I got older, they gave me a TV.
But you was
I had a phone.
You had a phone
in my room,
right? And you was you was pretty much. You was taken care of.
I was taken care of. Yes. Okay. My parents did well.
All right, and so did mine.
They provided.
Both of my parents
worked.
Very
fortunate.
Both of your parents worked.
Both of my parents worked.
Both of my parents worked and hustled, and they provided for the family. And we ate dinner together a lot of times.
We tried to.
Yeah, I mean
in the morning.
Yeah, in the
some
morning.
Breakfast, but not really.
Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah, the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, all that.
Family accumulated child. And a lot of people
from Mount Vernon,
and
have that in common,
right?
Yes.
And when I say this, because there's a lot. I'm assuming that a lot of your friends or people that you knew, associates at that time that you might assume were your friends, they weren't living like. How many people had single parent households?
They definitely weren't as fortunate as I was growing up. Single homes and living in the projects. Mm-hmm. Not to say anything is, wrong with the projects. We're just creating and
of
letting
course.
people know. Living in the projects and coming from single parent homes, mm-hmm. and didn't always have everything that they wanted. Necessarily not everything they even needed.
Right.
So I was very fortunate.
Right. And, like with me, I would hang out with guys, my friends, and a lot of them had single parent households. They was come from single parent households. And sometimes, they lived in apartments, like mm-hmm. in the project.
Right.
Some 1-bedroom apartments, things of that nature. Mm-hmm. And, when I bring them to my house, they would be like, wow.
Yeah, same here. Wow, your house is
huge.
You got all this and
things that I took for granted, pretty much.
Yeah, that we both took for granted.
We both took for granted.
Right. We both took for granted.
And I kind of like, with me, my friends that were less fortunate to me than me, I kind of tried to prove to them that I was like them a little bit.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, because the thing is, in my teenage years, right, mm-hmm. I was doing crazy stuff. Like,
right.
I was in the project. I was fighting.
Right.
Fighting in the street,
mm-hmm.
smoking weed, drinking at the age of 14, mm-hmm. doing all that stuff.
Me too.
Doing all that stuff, but at the same time, there was some underlining things. Although I had this house, although I had both of my parents, mm-hmm. and had all the Jordans, all the when Champion was out, I had every single thing. I had a leather coat. Right. Shirley, I always was fly. Parents get,
me too.
Always decked out. But at the same time, that I was doing those things, but there was some underlining stuff. That
all right, let's
not
get
just
into
with
that.
the peer pressure. We also have in common that, and we're not looking back, but you had experience being incarcerated,
right?
And my brother was incarcerated for a period of time, which although he had to go through that, I still had to go through.
You went
with
through
him.
it too, because I did see on his page that he talked about all the girls that left him, mm-hmm. and the only one that stayed and wrote out the bed, and he was talking about mm-hmm. giving some insights, and he was talking about you.
I know you about to make me cry.
You about to cry?
Yeah, and I love my brother. He get on my nerves, but I love my brothers. But I named my son after Avery,
right?
Because Avery went to. He was incarcerated. Went into.
He was
locked up when I was in college.
Oh, so he was locked up when you had your son?
Yeah, he was locked up when I had my son, and I'll take my son to go visit him.
Right,
got pictures and everything.
So you named him Avery.
Yeah, I always loved the name anyway, but I was me and Avery was like this at one point. We're still close. But yeah. So I did the bid with him.
Right.
So the thing is that, to get back, go ahead.
No. So yeah, that was another thing that we have in common, mm-hmm. I guess, Avery's not here, and I will have him on the show.
You should.
I will. That's my boy.
He has a story.
Yeah, of course. And we're going to talk about it, the comparisons of, being male and growing up in that type of household, in that environment, and then, going to jail.
That would be good.
What type of effect that had on the family.
Because y'all came from some good stock.
And we didn't have to do the things that we did.
Nah.
We didn't have to do the things that we did.
But
sometimes... you don't always listen to your parents.
No.
I know I didn't.
And
they told me the right things to do. They was like, they told me back in the 80s, you need to learn something about computers. You need to go to school about this, do this and do that, stay in school, yada, 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 yada. But at that age, you think you know it all.
Yeah. You want to do your own thing, and you want to, experience things for yourself. You're like, my parents are old. They don't know better.
Right.
Exactly.
And, I tell.
Different time. It's a different time. They have no idea.
When I was in this youth assistance program, and I used to tell the children, I'd say, how many people have younger brothers and sisters? And when they raise their hands, I say, suppose you see your younger brother or your younger sister taking a metal fork and going to put it into the socket. What would you do? And they say, well, we'll stop them. I'll stop them. I'll say, why would you stop them? And they'll respond, because I don't want them to get hurt. I know what's going to happen if they put that fork into the socket. And this is the same thing that your parents is doing. Your parents been there before, and they're trying to keep that fork out of your hand.
Right.
Pretty much.
You know what I learned too? And sometimes you're going to have to learn things for yourself.
The hard way.
The hard way.
The
That's
hard
just
lesson.
how it's going to happen. And sometimes those lessons are the best lessons.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Sometimes
Right.
you got to, you know you're not supposed to be doing this.
For sure.
But at the same time, I'm going to do it anyway. But, you know.
For sure.
Yeah.
And, you know, Whitney, I got Whitney here because
he has me here
I'm
on
telling
his
you,
show.
her speech.
My speech.
She is impactful.
Thank you.
Very impactful.
Thank you.
She talked about a lot of things, and you know, the bravery. You know, you gotta you were brave. You had to be brave to be vulnerable and, you know, reveal certain things. And at the same time, it was rewarding, because I'm telling you, you had everyone's attention. I told you that after you
did.
I said you had everyone's attention. Everyone's attention. It was like Simon said, you could have told people to
jump up and down,
and they would have jumped at that point. Play that clip one more time, Erica.
You gonna play it
Just
one
one
more
more time. Just one more time.
Oh,
so I want people to see what's going on
I'm
here.
gonna give you another clip. But
No, I want people to really see what's going on.
Okay.
With this,
I'll speak about this clip.
Yeah, because this clip was dope, but this was at the end of the conference. This was at the end of her presentation.
Say just for me. Say it's working just for me. I'm going to heal.
I'm going to heal.
Just for me.
Just for me.
No more pain.
No more pain.
Repeating after you.
Just for me.
It's shifting.
It's shifting.
Just for me.
Just for me.
God's doing it.
God's doing it.
Just for me.
Just for me.
I'm going to be patient.
I'm going to be
Just
patient.
for me.
Just for me.
God loves me.
God loves me.
God loves me.
God loves me.
I love me.
I love me.
I am she.
I am she.
I am she.
I am she.
Thank you, everyone.
You know what? And as somebody, because that clip is on Instagram and Facebook, and someone said, I wish I wasn't going to experience no more pain. And I was like, you know, you took that a little bit out of context, because you had to be there. And when I meant no more pain, just for me, meaning that in life you're going to experience pain. You know, that's life. Life happens. We can't dodge from it. You know, I don't care how, you know, into God and into Jesus or into you know, God. It doesn't matter. You're going to always experience pain because of life. However, the difference when you heal from the pain that you had previous, from your adolescence, from your teenage years, whatever the case is, from years ago, even a couple of years ago, when you heal from that pain, you're going to, when that next trauma comes, because you will have trauma or you will have pain, when that comes, you'll know how to deal with it. You'll deal with it differently. You'll have a different perspective.
Right. And
that trauma, that pain that was years ago, it's not going to be buried under the new pain that you experience. So when I said no more pain just for me, meaning no more past pains, no more past hurts, because I'm going to deal with it just for me, so I can be in a position to be able to, you know, to transform, to step forth, to step out on faith, and whatever that looks like. So my best version of myself can manifest.
That's dope.
So that's what that was where I said no more pain. You know, you had to be there.
The best version of you.
Yeah, the best version of you. And this conference, she wanted me to speak on healing, and that's what I did. And healing is so broad. There's so many aspects of healing. There's so many aspects of healing. But what I wanted to do is address, you know, what is healing? What does healing look like, or what do they see that healing looks like on them? Because everybody's healing process is different, and what it looks like on them is different. Right. But you got to know what. You got to be able to visualize what my healing looks like. What does it feel like? What does it taste like? What does it sound like? You have to know what it is in order for you to be able to get there, for it to manifest. So we were talking about healing process, like I said, that aspect of it, and then also asking ourselves, do we really want to be healed?
And how did you get to that point? Like, I mean, you know, when a lot of people know that they need help or they need healing, but they don't know what to do, how to heal. How do you heal? Like, like people tell me, they say, they used to say to me, get yourself together. Or here's the big one that I used to hear a lot from my dad. Mm-hmm. He used to tell me, you got to think, Dice, think. And that's an action word.
Right.
Without telling you how, because a lot of people do not know how. Mm-hmm. How is very important.
And
so when I say healing, like when you know that you need healing, how do you heal yourself?
First of all, you got to acknowledge that you need healing, right?
Facts.
So you got to be aware of you. Mm-hmm. And healing actually makes you aware of you. So basically, and Dwayne and I he was just watching at one point. Dwayne and I have conversations about this all the time.
Right.
Like I said in the beginning, I didn't know I needed healing until that new trauma came. I didn't know I needed healing until this pain came, and it brought up all this past hurt and this past pain. So I think pain makes you aware that you still need healing.
Right.
It addresses different things that you didn't know was still there. Do you understand what I'm saying by that?
I do.
Because for example, part of my story, and I'm transparent only because it's not what I go through is not for me. It's to help somebody else.
Right.
And I'm cool with my story. I don't have any regrets. It is what it is, and it makes me who I am. But what I shared at her conference was that I went through a breakup last year.
Right.
I was about to be married. I was engaged and all that great stuff. I prayed for my husband. I thought my husband was coming. That whole thing or whatever the case is.
Right.
And it ended in us not
being married,
which and I
called it off,
and that which happens.
It's not uncommon. This happens.
Definitely not uncommon.
Right.
So but at the time when I was going through that, then this other pain resurfaced that I didn't deal with, so it made it even worse. Right. So I was still hurting from my past relationships that didn't work. I was still healing so that from that past trauma that didn't work. And I started feeling a certain way about me. And I didn't really know who Whitney was, to be honest. Like I was like reintroduced to this Whitney that I didn't even know.
Right.
It's so, and it sounds it's so complicated, but I'm trying to make it as simple as it is.
Because a lot of people don't know themselves.
Yeah.
They don't know themselves.
It forced me last year to get to know who Whitney was.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So going through that, that's when I realized that, I still wasn't healed from some past hurt, some past pain, relationship, abandonment. Going through, like I said, I was raped at 15, and I was still dealing with certain things that I thought I healed from, and I really didn't heal from. Mm-hmm. So it took this situation to make me recognize that, I need healing. Right. I need healing from this stuff that's been buried.
And you're carrying
I'm carrying a lot of stuff. And sometimes we don't even know it.
Don't even know it.
But when we recognize through our habits and patterns, sometimes I had the same patterns and same habits that I was falling into. So the thing is that when we have patterns that brings us into places that hurts us, relationships, we enter these relationships that don't mean us any good, that don't transform us, that's not growing us. We enter into dead-end situations, because of these patterns, or we're doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, but we get the same, which is called insanity. Right. That means I'm not healed from something, because I'm taking these habits that are not conducive to creating or transforming.
I call it circling the drain.
Yeah, I like that, circling the drain. So there's some type of healing that needs to be done before. So I think I don't know if I said a lot, but first, like I said, you need to be aware, and pain and being a new trauma helps us recognize that, oh shoot, we need healing, because it draws out.
So what made you aware?
What made me aware? What made me aware was that hurt I went through with that relationship.
Okay.
But my pain was so much deeper than that.
Right.
And I was at a point last year where I was about to take my life. Because of the pain that was buried through abandonment, through my the pressure of being a child coming from a two-parent home who is very, very successful. That in itself, it's a lot of pressure. People don't realize that,
and you know they don't realize it because you know a lot of people don't come from the it used to be traditional.
You could say it's somewhat traditional what we came from, right?
But you know that's pressure as well. There's pressure as well that you take with you outside of the house.
So dealing with that and dealing with that and trying to be this person, right? Whatever this person was at the time I was trying to be, but also dealing with, you know, relationships that didn't work out. I had a failed marriage that didn't work out. I was married at one point, and also, like I said, you know, being raped at 15 and still seeing the person walk around, you know,
she's
and
very
not
brave.
and not being brave. And not I'm healed from that now, but at the same time still. So all that stuff just came up, and God said, you're going to deal with it one way or the other.
Right.
But the thing is that made me aware, and I had to learn a new Whitney. I had to change I had to go through the stages of healing. But like I said, I was at a point last year where I was about to take my life.
Well, no.
Well, you're not clapping to that. I know you're clapping to that.
I'm not clapping for that.
Yeah.
That clap was a little off. But I was clapping.
I'm just as long as you didn't do. I'll take the clap.
I'm clapping
with the sound effect. I go.
Her for Whitney being aware of Whitney, you know, and that's very important. You know, a lot of people are not aware of themselves, and if you're not aware of yourself, you're just gonna keep, you know, like a remote control. You're just gonna keep doing the
same old thing,
same
over
things
and
you're
over
doing.
Again.
In fact, I told a story last time I was on the show, and I'll tell it again. Is that I kept a journal for 6 years, and you know, it was at the end of that 6 years that I actually read the journal instead of wrote in it. And when I read the journal, I couldn't believe. I said, "That's not me. I didn't write that."
Wow.
I thought that. I mean, I couldn't refuse it. I know I wrote it, but I just couldn't believe the things that was going through my mind.
Wow.
And that I jotted down in this book. And I would never let anybody read it because I was like, "Wow, who is this monster?" Really, I felt like a monster. I was like, but this was my awareness.
Isn't it dope to see like the different version of yourself back
For
then?
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And then being able to transform into this other being. And a lot of people are walking around not knowing who they are.
Right.
And walking around still hurt, walking around with this trauma that they haven't dealt with. And it can put you in a place where you don't know who you are.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? You riding on the hurt.
That's right.
You know, you're not aware. So last year I was forced to confront my hurt because my hurt was confronting me. Past hurts were confronting me, and I had to go through this healing process, and the healing process does hurt.
Right.
It does hurt because it starts making you aware of, you start seeing this individual that you maybe didn't want to see, because it brings up you know, your old stuff. You got to revisit. Thank you. You got to revisit and journey backwards to a lot of things that you kind of swept under the rug.
Right.
You know, so healing is a process, and it hurts. So first, I had to confront it because it confronted me. I didn't have a choice.
And a lot of these issues, you don't, at the time, you really don't look at them. You just hide them.
Yeah.
So you really haven't dealt with them when it happened. You just hid it away, and now when it's time to heal, now you have to go back and revisit this. And, you know, therapy, healing, all of that is always painful.
It is.
It's always painful. So, you know, be prepared, like you said, for the pain.
Yeah, be prepared for the pain.
Be prepared for the pain.
Because it makes you aware of who you are, you know. Yeah. And last year was a really tough time, you know, Whitney, and a lot of people, you know, don't know what you're going through because I had a mask on, you know what I mean? I was always still hiding, smiling, you know, smiling behind the hurt and the pain.
And that, you know, like,
and not intentionally. That's just something that we do.
Right.
You know,
it's habitual. You do it as a habit. You don't want anybody to see you.
I remember I was going on a pulpit. Right, last year. If anybody doesn't know, I'm a minister. So I was we enter into church and we go on the pulpit, you know, to get, going into service. And I got a text as I was walking into the pulpit and said, oh goodness, I don't know if I can say this, but no, I don't want to put on blast. It was so crazy. It was like, I don't want to say it.
What'd you say?
But I got a text that said, mail me. No, I'm not going to put it on blast. But basically, I got this text that just hit me to the core. And I said, you know what? Ain't this something? Wait. I still had to go up on there and... But I was gonna pray. I was gonna praise God through it. I don't really want to say it. I don't want to say it.
You lost me. Hey,
I don't really want to say it.
All right. So just
I don't want to put the person on blast.
You don't have to say it. You don't have to say it. Just give us an example of you about to go onto the pulpit. You said
right,
and you receive the text, and you read this text, and then right before you go on the pulpit, and this text just throws you off balance a little bit.
That text wanted me to go like this. I want to turn around and walk right out.
Really?
Yeah, during this time. And I said, look at the enemy. You know what I'm saying?
That's how the enemy works.
I said, but at the same time, I said, I got to still press forward. I still got to make it through. You know what I mean? I still got to, and not to say it was a mask, but at that time, I just had to keep on. I had to deal with the hurt. I still had to live with that hurt at that moment, so I wasn't stopping,
right?
But at the same time, thank God for pain, though. Thank God for pain. I know when you're going through it, it feels like, oh, why I gotta be here. But thank God for pain, because it makes you realize where
it's an awareness.
It's awareness.
Right.
I can't, I'm 41, and I have to really say, at this time in my life, I know exactly who Whitney is, and I can see a different version of myself just right here. I can see it. I can see her. I can see what she looks like, you know what I'm saying? And also, I love who I am today. I love this version with the pain, with the hurt I had to go through, with the failed relationships. All that stuff was working for my good, just like it's working for somebody who's good out there.
Right.
But confront your hurt, confront your past, confront it before it confronts you, because you don't want it to be this effect where you, it's spinning out of control. You know what I'm saying? And have you circling the drain, And like I said, thank God I had to go through it. I'm more aware of myself. And also when you heal, right? And a healing comes with a responsibility, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's that pain, you gotta deal with that pain, you gotta deal with the process. There's different levels to healing. But also you have to make sure you're connected to the right individuals in general, for sure.
Right.
And also you got to change some patterns. You can't do the same things you used to do that brought you close to that pain. So when you're healed, you start recognizing those things that are not good for you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
You invest your time. Your time is healthy. Your money, where you're investing your money, is healthy. Where you're investing in relationships, whether it's business, personal, love, whatever it is. You once you're healed and dealt with that past stuff, things look differently, and you're able to spot. Right. Oh no, I can't go there. I'm not. Hell no, I'm not doing that anymore.
You can't go back to it.
I ain't going back there.
You can't go back to it.
I went through too much,
right,
to get here, and I ain't letting you take me back there.
Right, because a lot of times it's just like certain habits, like for instance, just like smoking. You see people that smoke cigarettes and then they give it up. They can't go back, and they
smell it back. Oh,
you can't go back to the same habits. The same habits that lead you to that cigarette. Right. So if you're drinking and drinking triggers you to smoke, you got to stop drinking too.
And I said that last week. You got to identify the triggers.
All the triggers.
For
sure. I still have my triggers. I still deal with a lot of my triggers.
I think we all do come in contact with those things but it's the way you handle it. You know what I'm saying? Does the trigger got you, or do you got it?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that's the thing, is you're gonna have those things, and because I'm a believer, right? So all my conversation is centered around God, and the thing is that that spirit, that enemy, knows exactly what you really like, knows exactly what can attempt to take you back, knows exactly what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Right. To put in your way.
No, gosh, and and I always say that the enemy attacks me through relationship.
Okay.
Through relationship, and if the enemy wants to attack me, it'll attack me through finances, either or. You know what I'm saying? Nothing else,
Right.
whatever the case is. But, I'm aware of that. So when those attacks come, I welcome those attacks, because also I know that it's something great is about to happen.
Okay.
But I identify those attacks.
You say something great is about to happen because the enemy's trying to get you away.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. But you just got to make sure you identify those things, those triggers, and what that enemy throws at you. You got to know it. But you know it when you know yourself, when you're aware of yourself,
Know
and when you're healed.
Know thyself. Know thyself is very important. And,
knowing who you really are.
Knowing who you are is very, very important. How many people out there can say that they know exactly who they are? And your image, the image. I talk about this a lot because image is something that I had wrote a paper on image one time, and I was talking about Tarzan. Because Tarzan really thought he was an ape. That's true. He hung with the apes.
Yep.
He swung with the apes. He ate with the apes. He even communicated with the apes.
Right.
Until he met Jane. Until he met Jane, and Jane said, "You are not an ape, my man.
Wake up."
Yeah, wake up. You're not an ape." But at that point, he was really, according to Tarzan, he was an ape. He was really an ape. So, what I was saying is that, how you see yourself.
How do you see yourself?
And how other people view you is very important. But how you see yourself is very important.
Yeah, I think that's the most important too. How you see yourself.
That closer look. Take a closer look.
That deep dive, and you always got to do a self-assessment.
Right.
And really you know what too? And a lot of people are not comfortable with who they are.
Exactly.
Exactly. And they don't know who they are. And if they know some things, if they know who they are, sometimes they're not even comfortable in their own skin.
And we're not talking about, like how people change their appearance. Are we talking about like the wigs and weaves?
Oh, I'm not even. No, I'm not.
No,
because look at my hair. I got red hair now. I got my natural out. I love variety. Right. You know what I'm saying? And as a woman, we could play like this. You know what I'm saying? This is just whatever. We wear makeup, take makeup, put in braids, put on some wigs or whatever the case is. And sometimes people wear wigs because they don't have time to wear, or they want to protect their hair and they want their hair to grow. That we're not talking about that.
I seen a man with a wig.
Yeah, men got wigs too. Yeah, they got wigs out there for men.
You really?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
they do.
I seen a man
and procedures.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Follicles or something in the they got that.
That's crazy.
But we're not necessarily talking about that. Because we're not talking about that. I think that's just playing dress up. That's just having a variety. You know what I mean?
Costume.
Yeah,
but as long as you know who you are
inside, because it starts in. I know it's so cliche. Start with the inside, and then it comes out. No, but that joint is true. Like you got to work on your spirit and your soul, inside out, because you can always change your appearance. You can always change. Even like you're looking at Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff. You see everybody. They may have their best pictures, best pictures. Are they looking good? They traveling. They got the Louis bags. They have all this stuff, the finances. Man, listen, a lot of people go home miserable.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Or you see even, these relationships, you say, oh, wow, they have a nice marriage. My God, they're traveling. Right. Man, they probably...
And they sleep in separate beds.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so...
That's common, too.
Yeah, we can't worry about with the outer, man.
Right.
A lot of people are suffering inside in their spirit and their soul, and they're not spending a lot of time what you see.
And this is what I'm saying, how other people see you. That's very for some people that's very important than knowing who they are.
Yeah.
They're worrying about how other people view them
instead of how they view themselves.
So they're constantly wearing this identity.
Yes, I like that, wearing somebody else's identity.
Right, someone else's
because it's
identity.
not theirs.
It's not theirs. and you know what?
It's a fraud.
I'm gonna keep it on the eye because I'm one of those persons that I was just talking about, and I almost lost my identity. I almost lost who I was. Even down to my walk. I was walking like this for so long that I didn't know how to walk.
With the bop?
Yeah, I was like, bang, with the bop. And then when I decided that this is what wasn't me and I wanted to take all of the costumes off, I didn't know how to walk. I was walking like a robot, like that.
Because you were so used to doing the other.
Yeah, I had created habits.
You create those habits.
I had created habits.
Yeah.
Boy, we got Whitney Smith in the
yeah, it's
building.
dope. I like being on the other side.
So Whitney, you went to college too, right?
I went to college. Big up Lincoln University. Yes, in Oxford, Pennsylvania.
Oxford.
I spent a year at Temple as well.
Okay.
I went to LIU, got a master's.
Really?
Then went to New York Theological Seminary.
Ooh, Theological Seminary. I know a lot of my brothers.
A
lot of my brothers that's watching right now. Colleagues in the ministry. School. Shout out to y'all too. A lot of my brothers got their master's degree, and they went to theological school. And
they went to seminary too.
They went to seminary,
okay.
Right?
Yeah, so so I went to school. I'm a teacher.
And she's a teacher, and we
9 to 5.
9 to 5.
Well,
and we looking
7
at
to 5.
Minister. What was going to be Minister Smith? Minister Smith.
If you want to call me Minister Smith, you can.
Oh, Minister Whitney Smith. Dr.
Whatever.
Minister.
I don't know if the doctorate is coming. It's not coming no time soon. I'm just following my calling, And I used to, 756, but just talking about who we are, just being comfortable with who Whitney is and getting to know Whitney again. That's what the pain last year allowed me to do. Right. I really had to get to know who I was to the core.
Right.
And what I didn't like about myself, because it's things that showed up that I didn't like about myself.
For sure.
That I had to really handle, in that process. And I had to, remove some friends, that healing process, remove some friends, and it made me look into Whitney. Right. I was wow, who is Whitney? At one point, during that part, I didn't know who I was.
I believe it.
But I didn't know what tried to label me or wanted me to identify with was the broken relationships, the hurt, the pain, that taken advantage of. That's what my identity was lying in.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So, or it tried to tell me that's what I was.
Right.
When I said, nah, I can't be that. I have to heal. And let me just say, I think I said this on my show, is that during that process, it's so crazy. Last year, I didn't know, and I didn't realize that the enemy can give you a false sense of peace.
Right.
Because when I was about to take my life and jump in the Hudson River,
you spoke about that.
You know what I'm saying? Actually, before I made the decision to go through with it, because I wanted all this stuff to go away. When I said I'm going to do it today, all this stuff is going to go away. I came, a sense of peace came over me, and I was like, wow, this feels good. I ain't feeling no pain right now, because I knew it was about to be over for me, right? But realizing that, because I know God gives me peace, that's one of the ways I know that he's talking to me. But the enemy that day gave me a false sense of peace, because that's not what God wanted for me.
Right.
And I realized it during that time, as far as how the enemy can give you, this false sense of peace. It made me aware of that, So just to say that is that I'm still here today.
For sure.
Thank God. And let me tell you something real quick. It's 7:58.
No, we got time. We got 6 minutes.
Oh, okay. Oh, right there. So I never pay attention to that thing right there. So last year during that time when I was at the Hudson River, on my way to see my son, I thought I was going to see my son play football for the last time, kiss him and say, I love you, whatever the case is. I called the suicide hotline. I mentioned this, right? I said, that suicide hotline is real.
Suicide
right?
hotline.
I never thought I would be calling that 800 number, so I was crying and all that stuff. I was like, I got to go. She said, whatever. I don't know, whatever she said, I wasn't listening. But she said this one thing, right? She said, you got a son? I said, yeah, he's 6. He was 16 at the time. I said, yeah, he's going to be good. My parents supportive. He got my brothers, his father's there. He's going to be good,
Right.
He's smart. He's good. He don't need me. She said, 70% of kids that commit suicide because their parents committed suicide.
Wow.
And I said, oh shoot,
wow,
I don't want that for him.
Right.
Like, I don't want that to be his.
Yeah, what you leaving behind is,
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I'm leaving. Now, that really that woke me up. But I was still crying in the process. But when I got to that Hudson River, and he called me like, yo, Ma, where you at? Let's go to the beach.
He actually called you while he was there.
Yeah, he said, let's go to the beach. He don't like the beach. I like the water. He don't like the beach. Let's go to the beach. Let's go to the beach. I was like, no, I don't want to go to the beach. No, what you want to go to the beach for? And that was a telltale sign, like, okay, he knew something was happening. He just didn't know what it was.
Right.
And then that 800 number, the young lady came into my mind and said 70%, and that's why I didn't go. You. But God orchestrated all that. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it was.
Knew the words.
Yeah, he knew what to orchestrate and who to bring in at the time. You know what I'm saying?
Right on time.
So right on time. And look, those thoughts are real. People go through those thoughts, and you might see somebody in their image and say, wow, they don't ever think. You could never see them in that realm.
Right.
It happened. It does happen, but you got to be connected. I had people calling me during that time too, but that's another story. But, you know what I mean?
Depression
is real.
Is real. And you see the commercial when they talk about the medication that you take for depression, they got the smiley face covering their face, and then you remove it and the person is looking, depressed and stressed. Depression is real, and
you can't see and you know what, and you can't see depression on other people sometimes.
Right. They hide it.
They hide it.
They hide it.
You hide it. They hide it from sometimes the people who are close to them. We don't know. It
no
looks
one knew
different.
No one knew you was going.
Nobody knew. Nobody knew that. I heard that. Only people that know. You send a little. I sent a text in the morning to like 5 of my close friends. I'll tell them how much I love them. They say, "Hey, I love you too." Then they text me back like, "Yo, what's going on with you?" Like, like that. You don't do that. That's something that you don't do.
Suicide is
real.
It's real. I mean, I don't want to. There's a lot of people that I've ran into people that have committed suicide, especially during my course of incarceration.
I can imagine.
I've seen people hang themselves, and people do all type of extreme measures to take their own life.
They want to alleviate the pain.
The pain that they're going through that you don't see.
You don't see. And sometimes it's so unbearable that you think you couldn't tell me last year that I would be where I am. I just thought my life was just old. I was at the lowest. I felt like, now I'm not comparing, but that Jesus, when he was on the cross, the lowest point is like, I just felt like this is the end for me. This is it.
And there's a lot of people that feel that way
now.
That they feel that way, and to get them to talk about it could be like pulling teeth because they're gonna hide it.
Yeah.
No one knew that you was.
No, not that
you didn't
moment.
Tell anyone.
Not that moment. No.
And the worst part about it is, those that commit suicide is the people that find your body.
Yeah, it's crazy. But during that time, I did have people in my life like Dwayne ministering to me. Shout out to my bro, my partner in vision.
Dwayne?
Oh yeah, my partner in vision. Not my partner in crime. There we go. My partner in vision.
Your partner in vision.
My partner in transformation.
There you go.
My partner in God, right?
God.
So there we go, because I was saying partner in crime before, but now we got it. So so I had Dwayne, ministering and helping me through the process. Treasure, my best friends, Felicia, Treasure, and also my friend Priscilla during that time was ministering to me, praying with me and getting me through the process, although I was still feeling like my life was gone. That's why you got to be connected to the right people, man, that's connected to God, that can give you some type of inspiration or minister to you during your process of brokenness. You need that, because you can't even speak to yourself, and you can't see your healing. Like, you can't see you coming out of it. So even if you don't believe it while that person's ministering to you, in some way, shape, fashion, or form, it's gonna be embedded into your spirit, and you're just gonna keep hearing it, and then you're gonna get to a place where you just have to believe it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So you gotta be connected to the right people to help you through your process.
Hear her out. Your
different process in your journey.
You can't heal unless you reveal it.
You can't heal unless you reveal it.
Right.
Yeah, that's good.
You
can't heal it unless you reveal it. And like I said,
Whitney,
if you don't confront your hurt's going to confront you. And you want to be ready to tackle that new trauma, that new pain, because life does happen and it's going to happen. But you're going to look at it. You're going to look at it differently when you experience that new hurt and that new pain. You're going to see it differently because you don't know how to handle it because you went through the healing process previously.
This hour went so fast. Whitney, plug your show.
It did. 8:05. Check Dwayne and I out on Thursday, 8:30 to 9:30 this week. We're going to be in the mix radio coming soon. Yeah, the book is out. Everything is out. The everything is out.
Instagram.
Check it.
Instagram.
I am Whitney D. Smith on Instagram and Facebook. Whitney Smith. Thank you so much for having me.
Whitney
I love
Smith.
you on the other side.
That's a fact, Jack.
Yeah. Don't show no negative behavior.
No negative behavior in the building.
We celebrating life.
All day,
ain't no death over here, right?
That's right.
We transforming, celebrating life.
And we thank you for tuning in to another show. We appreciate your company. Always remember to motivate, not manipulate.
Peace.
Celebrate life.
We Peace. Out. Motivate, not manipulate.
That's
manipulate.
Right.
Don't show.